Hey everyone, this is Bradley Benner with Lead Gadget and the ATM. Today is January 14th. This is supposed to be the webinar, Q&A webinar as usual. However, I completely dropped the ball and didn't schedule it until about an hour ago. So maybe nobody will show up, but I just want to, if anybody shows up, please feel free to post some questions. And I apologize for not having the event set up sooner. I thought I did, but apparently I had not. So as soon as I complete this morning, I will go ahead and set up for next week. I do want to just briefly talk about the iMacro script. I told you guys last week that there was a gentleman on Upwork. His name is Marin, who can create. I guess he's an iMacro developer, and I'm having him work on creating an iMacro for cleanup process after sites are built. Now it's going to be custom or specific to my needs. However, if it works out well, which he's just waiting on the instructions from me. Again, I haven't had a lot of time to devote to this, but I've got most of them complete. I'm hoping to possibly get them done today and sent over to him. And it's actually not as involved as I thought it would be. So I'm just going to give you guys a quick example of what the process looks like. So let me go ahead and grab the screen. You guys should be seeing my screen now. If anybody does show up, and post your questions, please. Again, it's completely my fault if nobody knows about this today. I apologize for that. I'll try to get this one scheduled as soon as we get done for next week. So this is just an example, guys. This is a site cleanup process that I put into note form. It's kind of like a linear process. This is how I write notes to a lot of my VAs. And then I'll transfer these actually over to a Trello board. If you guys aren't familiar with Trello, it's a great project management application. It's great for training and for keeping track of progress on projects for and specific tasks, especially for specific tasks. And so this is typically how I write out a working procedure. Okay, as I start with just a Google Doc and then type them out like this in bullet format and a linear process. So step one, then step two, then step three for pretty much any task in my business. And I've learned how to outsource very well that way. It's very, very effective. It's a pain in the ass actually creating the working procedure itself. It's a tedious process documenting your tasks in a step-by-step fashion. However, once it's done, it frees you up from having to do those tasks anymore at all, because you can just hand it over to a virtual assistant that can learn the process based on your notes and your working procedure, and then perform that task for you. So it's enabled me to free up my time to work on higher level stuff. And this is one of the examples that I'm sending over to Marin for the site cleanup process. And this is specific to me. It's not 100% done. I'm probably about maybe 80% done. I've still got about another 20%, maybe a little bit more to do. But this is it. And then what I'm going to do is, once the actual document is finished, then I'm going to record a training video with two windows open. So I'll have this window open on the right side of the screen, and on the left side of the screen, I'll actually go through an actual site cleanup following these instructions. And then when I send them over to him, he'll have both the video and the step-by-step written instructions that the iMacro should follow. And that should make it incredibly easy for him to code that out for me, or to program that for me. So that's essentially how I do outsourcing, for pretty much any task in my business. Is I just create a working procedure for a task that I no longer want to do. And then I hand it over to a virtual assistant that I've hired. And again, I just transfer these usually for virtual assistants. And in this case, Marin's not a virtual assistant. He's a programmer. So, but for VAs that I hire on either a part-time or a full-time basis, I actually add these over to Trello and create what's called a Trello board. And then Trello cards are specific tasks that multiple tasks can make up an overall process. And so, there would be different cards or whatever, and it's step-by-step, very, very useful. If there's enough interest in it, I can show you guys some more stuff about Trello, perhaps next week or at another time. If you guys are interested in that, you can certainly let me know, and I'd be happy to show you how I use Trello to train and manage virtual assistants. But we've got quite a team now. We've got actually 18 full-time employees now in my business, in my company. So this process works very, very well. for hiring virtual assistants. And this goes for lead gadget site builds as well. For those of you that are still building on your own, if you enjoy building on your own, that's fine. But some of you are looking to scale. And this is something that I started creating a Trello process to train a VA to build the ATM sites. And I ended up pulling her. She's one of my best VAs. She's actually she's the team leader now of one of my build teams for some private blog network sites that we're building for another project. So right now I still do the builds, and in part because I've got to do training for you guys. So I don't want to get rusty. If I got a VA doing it all the time, I won't be doing it as much. However, here shortly, where I'm going to be training a VA specifically to do builds for me so that I can get more sites out there, because I have not been putting out very many ATM sites due to lack of time. And like I just mentioned, creating these working procedures is really time consuming, especially with something as intricate as the ATM builds. Because again, I don't just record a training video. I always document it in written format as well, because that way you can be put into a Trello board, and then any subsequent assistants that I want to hire to train, I already have the process in place. I can just copy them onto a board, and they can go right through the procedure, even if they've never built a site in their entire life. And by the time they get through that Trello board, they will know the process, and then they can always go back and start at the beginning again of the Trello board and walk through it a second time or a third time. Usually by the second or third time, they've gotten through the working procedure and followed all the steps that they know it by heart. And so it's very, very effective. And so that's something else that I will be doing. I may be willing to give access to those procedures once I'm done. Don't hold me to it. I'll decide at the time, but I might be willing to give up the working procedures on an ATM site build, at least the way that I build. Certainly you'd want to customize them to your own specific needs, or however you desire to build sites. Okay, but this is my procedure here for cleanup. It's got some of the plugins that I like to use. A lot of them are premium plugins, but I'm getting close to the end of this. Probably have about another page worth of notes to add, and then I'll be recording the training video and sending it over to Marin. He should be able to get that done fairly quickly, and then provided it works well, again, I'd be happy to share him with you guys so that you can get your iMacros created as well. It's all about efficiency, right? That's why I said iMacros are great for the cleanup process. It'll save you a good 15, 20, 30 minutes of time per build if you've got an iMacro that will do all the repetitive tasks for you first. And then also, once I get a little bit more time freed up, I've got a couple projects, 2 big projects I'm working on at the moment, but they're almost to the point where I can step away because I've got some people trained to take over them. And so shortly I will be creating a procedure for an ATM build. And then again, I'll start hiring VAs to build sites for me. And once that's running smoothly, I could probably share that with you guys, because then you can step away and let other people do the work for you, right? That's really the name of the game, guys. Work on your business, not in your business, right? So, okay, looks like nobody did show up. And again, it's 100% my fault. I apologize, guys. Hopefully that was a little bit helpful. I'm not going to share these with you yet. These are specific to my needs. Once I get everything done, I'm happy to share Marin with you guys. I could probably remove some of the sensitive data from here and then share these as well. If you guys want to model these and then, obviously change out the steps to your specific builds, then again, I'd be happy to do so. So let me know on the events page for next week. I will get that posted right away, so you guys have plenty of notice for next week, and we'll see you then. Thanks.